And if it's so clear, how come it takes 2 minutes and 40 seconds to figure it out? If it's that clear, why are we sitting there for 2 minutes and 40 seconds? We have 15 seconds to review a call in the first place. We got 2 minutes and 40 seconds to sit there. What are you looking for? If it's that clear, then overturn it early. If it's not, then it's a home run. And so, we call our replay guys and they're like, how you feeling about it? Zero chance. Go that long and have to come up with a conclusion that's not conclusive to overturn a home run that ends up costing us an opportunity to win a baseball game. Right. I mean, I had a lot of time on my hands, and if you can find an angle where that fan touched the baseball, I'd like to see it. No, it was the description from the league was that it was clear that the fielder was impeded to make a play. Went over the fence, none of it was clear. But somehow in the explanation it was clear after 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Well, I'd like to see an angle that makes it clear, because I've yet to see it, and I just had 8 innings to watch it. And we lost by a run.
Well. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I'm Marty Cassavell. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Okay, excuse me if there's weird background noise. I'm actually at Petco Park, as is AJ Cassavell. I am here in the press box in the third row. What's up, AJ? AJ is 2 rows down the way in the corner, sitting in Dennis Lynn's seat. We didn't have time today, a bunch of stuff going on, but there was so much to talk about from yesterday's game that we decided to go ahead and do a special show. AJ, how are you today?
I'm good. I don't know, yesterday, it's funny how this job and this sport works. It's like 3 games at Dodger Stadium. Those are the busy ones, and you can finally take a breather on a Monday against the Giants, who aren't that good right now. And then there's all these major storylines coming from that game. So the baseball season is relentless, and you kind of never know when the big stories are going to emerge. And we've got a few right now with the Padres team that I don't think it's as dire as like what a 4-game losing streak looks like. Like they're still in. You said they're 2 games back in August. Like, you take that 10 times out of 10, especially given where they were in July 3rd. But there's a lot going on right now.
There is a lot going on right now. Okay, so you mentioned there's a lot of storylines. Right now, what to you is the biggest storyline? This is not the way I was going to start. That long intro right there was from a very irate Mike Schilt in postgame yesterday, talking about the overturned fan interference, the home run by Bogarts that was not, that ended up being a difference maker. What right now is the biggest story here on August 19th?
Well, day to day, I mean, there's different stories. There's different stories day to day. There's different stories in terms of like the short term and the long term. The day-to-day biggest story, I think, is like the lineup construction in the aftermath of the trade deadline and who's playing where. I was kind of mulling this all over. I don't know if this matters that much yet. Like, it's the middle of August. Whether it's Ryan O'Hearn starting against the lefty or Jose Iglesias or Jake Cronenworth, like, I don't think it makes that big a difference. If I think Ryan O'Hearn has proven himself against lefties this year to the point where he should be in the lineup against lefties. But we've seen the Padres last season maybe wait a while to maneuver their lineup. Mike Schilt prefers lineup stability. Got to September, all of a sudden they were optimizing things in September. So like the day-to-day storyline, that's the biggest storyline right now. It's like what they're doing. But I think the real biggest storyline, like what happens now that could actually impact the Padres winning, is the health of Michael King. I think the rotation is a major question mark. And this is a team that can win with 2 good starters in October because of what it has on offense, because of what it has in the bullpen. But the health of Michael King is going to probably determine whether it's a good enough rotation or whether there are serious cracks.
Okay, you and I saw Michael King briefly yesterday as he was going out to pitch his bullpen game. He didn't really want to talk too much about it. He has his he has his bobblehead tomorrow. He did say afterwards that he felt great, right? He threw about 32 pitches. But unlike last time, I mean, he's optimistic, but I get the sense the Padres are going to be a lot more cautious in bringing him back. Like, I don't know that it's just going to be like, hey, we're having a bullpen game, rehab start, and then we're going to see you back in Seattle. Or could they go that way? How cautious will they be? Like Mike Schilt today in pregame really didn't give us much, but I think they went a little bit wary based on what happened to his knee last time.
Yeah, I just think that we're getting a little closer to when they're going to need Michael King. Like down the stretch, they need him to be healthy. They need him into October, and so there can't be any more setbacks. I think they're pretty confident that this knee thing is something that can be taken care of relatively quickly, with rest and then with a slower buildup. But if there's any reason to be tentative with rushing him back, I think they will be tentative. That said, I still think Seattle is the goal. See, I know Seattle's Michael King's goal. He didn't want to go on the IL in the first place, or I guess he understood being on the IL, but he didn't think, like, if it was a different point in the season, if it was the postseason, I think he would have pitched through it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, because, like I said, that to me is what's going to determine the ceiling of this team. The lineup is good enough, it's deep enough. The bullpen is incredible. They can't be falling behind 4-0 every night. That's just, even with this bullpen, if you're falling behind 4-0 in the first inning, it only goes so far if you can bring Jeremiah Estrada in the fifth inning if you're down by 4.
There was so much conversation. The most of yesterday's post game with Schilt was about the fan appearance call, and I do want to get your take on what happened in real time versus the rule book and the explanation. But to me, the game was lost in the first inning because but Nestor Cortez, 3 home runs, down 4-0 deficit in the first inning, third straight game. What did you like from Nestor Cortez, or what didn't you like? And what's his fit going forward? Because he's pretty much a piece. He's here to give you innings and kind of just lengthen out this rotation.
Yeah, I think that's his job. He's supposed to give you what he gave you from the second to the sixth inning. And if he can give you quality 6 innings, 3 runs, that's fine. If he puts you behind 4-0 in the first inning, that's not fine. But I'll say, like, the fan interference call, to me, I agree with you. It's not what cost them the game. They lost the game by a run, but that game maybe gets managed differently in the 7th inning. Yeah. Things could unfold differently. It wasn't like they were down 4-3 and that was the game-tying home run. They were down 4-0 and eventually lost 4-3. So my take on the fan interference call is that, like, if you're just showing me that video of the play, it looked like fan interference. But if you're showing me that video having the call on the field already having been a home run, I don't see it well enough that the fan is definitively over the fence to know that it was fan interference. Because, there's 2 aspects to this. It's, one, did the fan interfere with Ramos's chance to catch the ball? I think that's indisputable. Like, whether he touched the ball or not, and I think he did touch the ball, but whether he touched the ball or not, his hands are over Ramos's line of vision. It makes it harder to catch the ball. It interferes with his chance to catch the ball. If that happens on the fan side of the fence, It's not interference. It's fair game. And I don't know for certain that he reached over the wall. I think it's probably likely that he did. If there's an angle that shows it indisputably, it's interference. If there's not, I don't know how they overturn it. It's really tough. It's a toss-up to me once the call on the field is a home run and the Padres came out on the wrong end of it.
How frustrated is Mike Schilt right now? Now, of course, when he came out yesterday to get, was it clarification or to argue that call? When you come out to argue, it's automatic ejection, correct? But he came out to clarify?
Yeah, no, he came out to argue. He came out to argue. He knew he was going to get ejected, and I appreciated him after the game being open about that, being honest about that. Like, he went out there to argue the call, and I think the plate umpire essentially said, like, you could have come out between innings and I would have, and I could have given you the explanation, but when you come out right after the call's made to argue, like, that's an automatic ejection. And Schilt basically said, yeah, I know that, but he's got a dugout to answer to. He's got 45,000 people that would rather have a manager out. Like, there's some performativeness to it, and it's also, like, kind of part of the job to at least, like, have your guys feel like you have their backs, which he clearly often does.
Yes.
So I think he was fine with the ejection. He knew exactly what was going to happen when he came out, and he got tossed, and he got his 2 cents in. He didn't like the call. I see why he didn't like the call. It's really tough. But like I said, I don't know if that's what determined the game.
My favorite thing from post game yesterday was Xander Bogaerts saying, when we talked to him, that he was 90% sure it wasn't a home run. I'm sorry, guys, I don't have my normal mic today. After watching Ramos's reaction and the way he was gesturing, he was pretty sure it wasn't going to be a home run. That's why he was cautious and didn't do his normal celebration, run the bases. Bogaerts knew, so there you go.
And Xander's it's been that kind of year for Xander. He's I think we went pretty well into it when he was really struggling early in the season. There were some balls he hit that were right at guys. That was as rough luck as I think you're going to see because, like I said, it's a 50-50 call, and it did not go his way.
Okay, I do want to get to the conversation on the Padres offense, but before we do, man, I have never seen so much dialogue and backlash over one player in a long time. That's what happens when expectations are high and the team is struggling and the offense isn't producing the way you expect. The Ryan O'Hearn conversation. Before I get there, and he is batting cleanup tonight for the Giants. This was a question that was posed to manager Mike Shildt yesterday in pregame, and it comes from AJ Cassavell. Here is AJ Cassavell asking Mike Shildt. Hopefully, you guys can see this audio about Ryan O'Hearn versus lefties. Here we go.
Lefties this season. Consider starting against lefties, or is that a bench bat?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of things. Where would you have started him?
I mean, there's places, there's options.
Right.
Necessarily like today or generally?
Today.
It's your call, not mine.
No, I'm just curious. Yeah, he's done fine. I mean, it's more about the reason I ask is I can answer the question more specifically, not.
Okay, well then today there's two options. Like maybe left and Laureano center.
Right.
Or DH, but obviously Manny's there today.
He is there today. So Manny's been going pretty hard, and he's played pretty much every game. So we're giving him a DH day, and Bryce has also swung the bat well against lefties, and we know looking at him to get an opportunity to go play and play some center field. So it's a really fair question and definitely consideration. Just want to be specific to where that could have been, but yeah, Ryan's done a nice job, and he is a great option for us off the bench.
Going forward, could we see that? Like obviously it's day.
Okay, so that was Mike Shildt yesterday being asked about Ryan O'Hearn, who wasn't getting any much playing time. He's been pretty much relegated to a bench bat. He's batting cleanup today. So AJ, if you can just take me through your process, your line of questioning, and where you were going. And I know Mike Shildt asked you where are you going to play him, but I mean that's not your decision. That's Mike Schildt's decision.
No one wants my opinion on where Ryan O'Hearn's going to play. So I think it's important to turn the question back to Mike Shildt, because when he does that, which he has done before, is it's a avoiding the question tactic that he has, because he doesn't want to answer, because there's like he has to have his guys' backs, and he's got essentially 4 guys in the lineup that could be playing for 3 spots, and right now Ryan O'Hearn is not in the lineup, and he's hitting the best out of the 4 guys. So I get why he wants to divert, but it's his lineup, not mine. So I appreciate him putting it back on me, but no one cares what my lineup, where I would start Ryan O'Hearn. I think I followed it up with maybe the more prominent question, which is like, could it happen in the future? And he said it's possible, but it's a day-to-day proposition, which is what he says every single time we talk to him about the lineup. I also think it's relevant that, like, I know everyone saw this 45-second clip. I've had other conversations with other people, with Mike, that don't happen in a 45-second Twitter clip about guys like Luis Arraez. And I already know very clearly what Mike Shildt feels about Luis Arraez and what the Padres feel about Luis Arraez. And they're not, like, they view him as an everyday player. Right. So if people want a Luis Arraez, Jose Iglesias platoon, I think based on the numbers this season, that makes an awful lot of sense, because of Luis Arraez is not hitting lefties very well. Mm-hmm. But that's not, for better or worse, that's not the way the Padres view it. They like Luis Arraez's skill set, and they're at least going to let him work through this. There's the other aspect to this, which I mentioned earlier in this interview, that it's August, and that the Padres, I don't know, they have to kind of work their way through what the dog days are right now. And I think maybe some tougher lineup decisions come in mid-September when the playoffs are approaching, because we saw that last year. We saw Jackson Merrill hitting 7th or 8th for most of the season, and Jake Cronenworth starting to struggle a little bit, and I think he was still hitting 3rd and maybe 4th. It was all like those were the questions we were asking at this time last year. And granted, this time last year, the Padres weren't in an NL West race where each game could kind of determine whether they win the division or not. But they prefer stability in the lineup. Mike Shildt has made that extremely clear, that he prefers stability in the lineup throughout the summer, and that he will maneuver when he gets to September. So I think there's some room to give him leeway to make these changes later. That being said, I still don't know if like, we don't know what those changes are going to be. So it's hard to know what questions to have about the Padres lineup and what it's going to be in the biggest games of the season, because we don't know what it is. Luis Arraez hitting second against lefties is not tenable for me. Like, that can't be happening. He's one of maybe their seventh or eighth best hitter against lefties right now. I think there's a case, given how well he's hit against righties lately, keep him there, keep him between Tatis and Machado. But I think that it's just I don't know. There's a lot going into this lineup discussion that might get settled later. That said, Ryan O'Hearn is like, there's no reason he shouldn't be starting against lefties. He's his OPS entering yesterday, I don't know what it is now, against lefties was 812.
Mm-hmm.
It was better than Jake Cronenworth, better than Jose Iglesias, better than Luis Arraez, better than Bryce Johnson, better than all these guys that have started over him. I kind of think that after his home run off Robbie Ray last night, like, this is the end of that story, and the next time we see a left-hander, Ryan O'Hearn will be in that starting lineup. If he's not, then there are more questions to be asked, and maybe a little more intentionally. But I think he probably put an end to that with the way he's swinging the bat right now.
What's your best? I think you answered the question, but for however long Jackson Merrill is going to be out, and we'll get to that shortly, because he is hobbling. I mean, when you see him in the locker room, he's having difficulty walking. So I can't imagine him playing anytime soon. But for as long as he's out, what's your best outfielder offensively? Not defensively, because you can make those changes later in the game, in a close game. What do you do offensively?
Well, I think Mike has made it clear that he views outfield as defense first in some occasions. Like last night against Nestor Cortez on the mound, who's a fly ball pitcher. That was the reason he had Bryce Johnson in center field,
okay,
and Laureano in left. The best the best outfield now is probably, again, if you're facing a right-handed pitcher, it's Laureano in center, and then either O'Hearn or Gavin Sheets in left, and then you use those defensive replacements. I don't know when Jackson Merrill will be back. I think when Merrill is back, then the lineup questions are interesting. Like, if you're facing, I think the Padres lineup against a righty is relatively set at this point. We know who's going to be in there. Maybe there's a Laureano versus Sheets debate, but the way Laureano's swinging, it's him. But the lineup against left-handers is then, like, you got Tatis, Machado, Merrill, Laureano, Bogarts, and a catcher. Like, those are your six, and then there's three spots open for Arraez, Iglesias, Cronenworth, and O'Hearn. Who gets left out in that group? Maybe it's a Cronenworth Iglesias platoon. Maybe Arraez sits here and there. Maybe you start four lefties, which I don't have a problem with. Interesting questions. I think of those four, O'Hearn has to be at the top of the list of the guys who are starting at this point.
When you talked about potentially interesting decisions coming, or difficult decisions coming for the lineup in September, do any of them revolve around Tatis in the leadoff spot? The way he's going?
So.
Okay.
I think so. He also hasn't hit left-handed pitching like you would expect him to do. I think there's a case to be made for Tatis hitting fourth, and he's also just getting on base a lot, though. He's working walks like you would expect out of a leadoff spot. He's stealing bases. So I think it's a question. I still think that's his best spot, is the leadoff spot. It's just a little bit more potent when he's got that power speed threat together. To me, the bigger questions are behind Tatis. It's, do you still go Tatis, Arraez, Machado against righties? I think there's a very good case for it because of the way Arraez moves the baseball against right-handed pitching, and then against lefties. Like, I look at the Padres' options against lefties, and it's like Tatis and Machado should be 1-2 because you're getting those guys an extra at bat against lefties. Or if it's not them, Laureano in there. Like, you have to start a couple righties there so that you can either get into the team's bullpen or get those guys a favorable matchup later in the game. I don't think Arraez, if I had to guess, I don't think Arraez will be hitting second against the left-hander in the playoffs. Like, that just wouldn't be, unless he just turns it around and he looks like 2023 Luis Arraez that hit 341 or whatever it was. I just don't think that would be wise, and I think the Padres know that.
Dodgers are back here. Wow, again, just a few more days. What did you make, AJ, of that completely disastrous weekend in Los Angeles? I mean, absolute disaster. Couple injuries. Cease gets just shelled an all around terrible weekend for the Padres.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm inclined to like not overreact to it. It was
Overreact.
really bad, but it was
Mhm.
just like I remember what happened in 2022 when they got swept at Dodger Stadium after the trade deadline, and it was also pretty bleak then, and they beat them in the playoffs. And I remember what happened last year when they swept the Dodgers after the trade deadline, and then they lost to them in the playoffs. So I really try not to read too heavily into like one series immediately after the trade deadline. What I will read into is the way they played on Saturday, because that was kind of unacceptable for what this Padres team is. Like the Padres don't get thrown out on the bases. They don't make defensive miscues. They're not. I don't think that like
They're not that bad. They're
that game.
not
I don't think
that
that
bad.
game is indicative of what they are. But for that game to have shown up in that situation is just not good. It's not. It's not ideal. It's not what you want. If they play the Dodgers this weekend and win 2 out of 3, or if they lose 2 out of 3 and they look like the Padres, they can still win the West. The weekend dented their hopes. It didn't completely diminish them. I still look at this roster and think it's pretty well built for October with off days and with the way you can use your bullpen if they've got that healthy Michael King. Like I don't know. It was not a good weekend in Los Angeles. I'm
No.
not gonna overreact to it though. If we'll see what happens this weekend. If the Padres play another game like they played on Saturday against the Dodgers this weekend, when they don't play those games, they play those games very rarely, those types of games where they beat themselves. If they play another 1 or 2 of those games this weekend, then I'll have concerns. I'm just not going to. It was 3 games in August, and I've seen what happened in past Padres-Dodgers series in August and how little they ended up meeting throughout the end of the season. So, terrible weekend if you're a fan watching the Padres lose 3 times to the Dodgers, but I really think it's worth keeping some perspective on that.
What happened with Dylan Cease and the walks? I mean, like that was just that game was so wild. And if you look, I'm sorry, I had these notes down yesterday, and I wasn't prepared to do this today from the press box. But they out hit the Dodgers in that series, and they get swept. They just a lot of bad baseball errors and those walks. The walks always come back to bite you in the ass. What on earth happened to Dylan Cease on Saturday? He struggled, but not like that.
No, he kind of seemed to think that he had some solutions that he should have tried. He didn't go into what they were. I don't know. I don't understand pitching mechanics very well. Like, I don't know what he could have done differently. But I think, I mean, he starts, what is it, Thursday against the Giants?
I think it's him and Justin Verlander on Thursday. Okay.
He obviously needs to be better than that. They out-hit the Dodgers and lost 6-0. Like that's hard to do, and that means he played a pretty bad baseball game. That Saturday game was kind of inexcusable. The Friday and Sunday games were just baseball games that the Padres lost on a break here or there. So it'll be a fun weekend. I really think like this ballpark will be rocking, and
I know
the Padres will. I think they have something to prove this weekend. I think they have something to prove that it's not a Dodgers thing, that it's not like that last series and is not because of who they're playing.
Okay, I think this is going to be my last question, but I could be wrong because I usually have like one more question for you. But normally when we go into Los Angeles, I always get to ask Tatis, what is it about Dodger Stadium that brings out the best in you? Because he's had some huge moments there, some signature home runs. He did not look like himself the entire weekend in Los Angeles. I feel like it's a weekly question. I know Schultz will never say anything negative when it comes to Tatis or any player struggling, but I know there are a lot of other people in the organization that are like waiting for him to be that player. What more can the Padres do with him?
There's part of it's interesting because he hasn't just fallen completely into being he is an extremely useful player.
Yes.
800 OPS, platinum glove defense in right field, stealing 25 bases. That is a good player. And yet, Fernando Tatis Jr. can be better than that. We've seen him better than that. And so it's like, I hear you. Like, there's more to be tapped into. He's faced some really tough pitching in LA over the weekend. Like, a lot of those arms are really nasty. but he's the kind of guy that has hit
No.
really good arms before. So like you don't want to. I don't think that's necessarily an excuse. Like he can be a difference maker against really good pitching. So I don't know. We'll see this weekend. We'll see down the stretch if. I mean, for all this talk about what the Padres should do in the bottom of their lineup and where certain guys should hit, like Tatis and Machado are hitting. Who cares where everyone else is hitting? It's a really good offense. And if they're not hitting, to some extent, it's the same thing. Who cares where everyone else is hitting? Because those are the guys that need to drive it. So it's kind of boring because those guys have been there in the 1 and the 3 spot. But if as they go, so go the Padres.
If Jackson does end up going on the IL, who do the Padres call up? Although I think that's just going to be more playing time for Ryan O'Hearn. I don't know that I'm expecting whoever they call up to go ahead and take that spot, but who would be logical?
I haven't kind of put me on the spot because I haven't thought that through too much. I don't think he's going on the IL today. I think if it happens tomorrow, I haven't looked who would be the next outfield type if they just wanted someone off the bench. Whoever they call up likely wouldn't play. There is the Luis Camposano question. He's mashing, obviously. I think he makes the most sense as the 14th position player when rosters expand because they could honestly use a right-handed bat off the bench. If they're facing a lefty pitcher, they can use that righty bat off the bench. So I think that makes some sense. But if Merrill's on the IL and all of a sudden you're short on outfielders and your only true center fielder is Bryce Johnson, maybe you look somewhere else that's not Camposano. I do look at that September 1st, though, when rosters expand and see that as an opportunity for Camposano to be up and maybe being called on a pinch hit spot against the lefty reliever. I think we've been waiting for it to click, and it hasn't, and maybe it does.
As long as he's not coming in to go ahead and pinch hit against like Kike Hernandez. Because that happened to him. That happened to him last time. That was just a terrible situation. I cannot believe, AJ Cassavell, that you were teasing your fan base with the idea of Luis Camposano, who is going to get his own statue in El Paso soon, because what he's doing there it's ridiculous. I can't explain it. What's happening? I'm sorry. Do you happen to know what the pitching matchup is for this weekend? I don't believe they're going to get Shohei Ohtani because Ohtani is pitching tomorrow in Colorado. Yamamoto was yesterday in the Rockies walk-off. Wait. Snell again?
I think Snell would be Friday. I think Snell will be Friday night, which will be the next time the Padres face a lefty. So I am naturally very intrigued to see what that lineup looks like. Obviously, if Jackson Merrill is not a part of it because of his injury, that kind of changes the calculus a little bit. But
Ryan O'Hearn
Snell, I mean, I think since Mike asked what I would do, I really think there's a lineup in there that is Tatis, Machado, one of the lefties, probably Merrill. So Tatis, Machado, Merrill, Laureano, O'Hearn as your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 against the lefty. And that way you're packing 2 righties at the top who both hit, and you're getting Laureano 4th between a couple left-handers, so you get him good matchups. Where does that leave Arise? I don't know. He doesn't usually hit as low as 7th, but like against the lefty, given his numbers this year, that would make some sense to me.
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if Schultz did that, to be honest. But yeah.
I think I would be surprised too, but I also think it's what makes sense. And I mean, the Padres view him as an everyday player. What does that mean in terms of where he sits in the lineup against the lefty when he's been struggling this year? Like, if you hit him 7th, you're maybe getting him opportunities against righties more often. I still think there's an argument for him to be where he is against right-handed pitching between Tatis and Machado. I don't know if it's necessarily what I would do, but I think it makes sense. But we'll see. It's like a lot of the lineup discussion. I love lineup discussion. To some extent, it's nerdy and exciting, and like everyone can kind of sit on their couch and construct their own lineups. I don't think the lineup construction really matters all that much until we get into mid-September, and those small details could make or break a playoff series or a pennant race.
That is such a huge series coming up this weekend against their NL West rivals, I think, or 2-game lead right now. So we'll see what happens. AJ Cassavell, you're the absolute best. I know that you say it's not your place to give Mike Schultz the lineup, but this is what I'll do for you. Go ahead and write down your ideal lineup for the Padres versus Blake Snell on Friday. Write it down on a sticky note. I will give it to Mike Schultz, and I'll say, listen, Schultz, this is from the people. And we'll see what happens.
Arise actually hits Blake Snell really well. So bat him second against Blake Snell, and then he gets a couple hits. There you go.
AJ, Marty always says
Hi, Jake.
I'm the best when I'm on the show. Now you're the best. He can't hear me.
It's one of us, right? It's
The
got to be
Mario
one of
always
us.
said, I'm the best when I'm on your show.
He can hear you, but wait, no, he can't. Okay. Anyways, that's Jake Ariani just trying to get some FaceTime.
That's right.
You know these TV guys, man. They can't be on TV enough, so they have to go ahead and hack into other live streams. So, thanks, Jake. All right, AJ Cassavell, I appreciate you. What, hour and a half till game time? Slow day today at Petco Park. It was picture day. It was picture day.
Picture
You
day.
know, picture
Early
day.
day.
AJ, yeah, very early. Preller was in a suit. All the players were all dressed up, but here we are. Thanks for doing this, and yeah, we'll talk soon. We'll talk the aftermath of Padres and Dodgers Part 2. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'll see you from Seattle then.
All right, thanks so much. That was AJ Cassavell. He is currently in the front row of the press box at Petco Park. I am Marty Caswell here in the back row. You're watching Marty Time TV. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, guys, there was plenty of pregame from Jackson Merrill talking about the frustration of his injury. Rowan O'Hearn spoke about getting an opportunity. He's such a team guy, batting cleanup. And who else did we speak to? Oh, Schultz spoke. Schultz spoke a little bit about Michael King, what's next for him, about the injuries to Jake Cronenworth, who could be available tonight, day-to-day on Jackson Merrill, although he did have imaging and there was no structural damage, although Schultz did say sometimes imaging doesn't reveal what's there. Just based on how Jackson Merrill looks and how he important is to the Padres long-term, I'd be surprised if they were aggressive with Merrill. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll have plenty of post-game here as well. I appreciate you all. Have a wonderful day. And hopefully when we talk next, the Padres have figured out this 4-game slide. Talk to you soon.